Hi, my name is Daniel and I am here to present a virtual reality game for engagement with climate change causes, health impacts and mitigation. First, a bit about me. I am a doctoral researcher at the Gamification Group at Tampere University, where I research climate change engagement, which means reaching a state of connection with this issue that involves understanding, caring and acting about it. I am also a game designer and developer of both digital and physical games, and I have worked both in games for entertainment and applied games. I am also a journalist. I have written for diverse media and a storyteller, which I also use when making games. The game we are presenting is part of my doctoral project, Our Planet at Play, which I do with my supervisors Juho Hamari and Sampeta Legaki, among others. This project includes a literature review, some game analysis, and of course the research associated to the game I am presenting today. So what is the problem we want to address with this game? Well, it can be summarized in the following way. Climate change is devastating for environmental, animal, and human health, and we are not doing enough to limit this damage. Citizens do not have a deep understanding about this, although it has been studied that engaging with a health argument could increase action and support for action. While there is evidence that gamification can be effective in engaging people with climate change, the literature rarely mentions the health dimensions, and this is why we are creating this game. The working title of the game is Climate Connected Outbreak, and its aim is to engage players with climate change, its causes and impacts through a focus on infectious diseases and pandemics. We have built the content from multiple scientific sources and have a scientific advisor, Merle Juustila, who helps us keep the content true and relevant. An important argument in the game is that there is no human health without environmental and animal health, as recognized by the One Health paradigm. It is important to us that the game has simple mechanics, so it is accessible regardless of prior experience with games, for example, and we are developing two parallel versions, regular computer screen and VR. The game is divided into 4 chapters. First of all, the player is acquainted with the game world and what they can do in it. They are presented with a vision of the future where humans have managed to address climate change well enough, but this is soon revealed to be not true. The real world is as polluted as ever, and there is yet another pandemic floating around. And then the player is invited to go through their future flat to find elements symbolizing the connections between climate change and the pandemic, and they are explicitly shown these connections in a graph that keeps growing. For example, a dry plant is connected to the impact of drought, or a gaming console tells us of the use of fossil fuels for electricity generation. Then the players review the whole picture, including other health impacts, and then they are invited to act on the causes of climate change in order to prevent issues such as the pandemic, ending again with a positive image of the future. We are trying to embed many principles in the game from fields such as environmental communication, environmental psychology, the science of learning, and motivation, which will be familiar to those interested in gamification. And I know there is much information here, but the point is this, that you can ask me about anything you find particularly interesting. And of course, the sources from this presentation should be in the video description. As mechanisms, we are using, of course, gamification and serious games design with the intention to bridge the gap between top-down approaches and bottom-up approaches to engagement. And specifically, we adopt a top-down view when communicating scientific facts and connections, but a bottom-up one when the player is invited to choose a behavior that would fit their life and their context. And of course, the story is a large part of this game, as well as the use of immersive technology. The project, of course, does not stop when the game is finished, so we have a proper prototype. Firstly, we aim to experimentally test the effects of the game in terms of learning, attitude towards climate change, motivation to act, and of course, behavior itself, comparing the effects of VR and traditional computer versions of the game. And secondly, given that the game is relatively simple, we can change the text and the visual elements of the game to frame the content in different ways. For example, we aim to test how the outcomes of playing change when the game is framed close to the player, both temporally and spatially, or far into the future and in a city with no name that they have no relation to whatsoever. For the future, we plan Outbreak to be only the first module in the Climate Connected series, given that we can explore many other climate relevant topics such as the manufacturing, use and disposal of electronic products, forestry, or the fossil fuel industry, for example. The main consideration is that these topics need to be connected with the big picture, that is the systemic issues behind climate change, and also the small picture. This is how does all of this context, all of this system connects to our daily lives and to the player's daily life. In the same way, we would like these games to support player action that is both meaningful and chosen by the players themselves according to their capabilities and preferences. Thank you very much, and here is my Twitter handle and my institutional email account in case you want to contact me further about this.